All right, everybody, welcome back to the recap. Michael D'Angelo, joined as always by my partner in crime, Mr. Big D, Daryl Ortiz. We are already 1 week away from Money in the Bank. That came up, came along pretty quickly, Big D.
Yeah. Between that and Saturday night's main event, that just like came up,
Yeah,
and then
they're flying
it's
fast
just
and furious, and then Worlds Collide's coming up same weekend as Money in the Bank. So a lot going on, and it felt like Raw and SmackDown. I don't know. For me, they just felt pretty uneventful. It does feel like it's a lot of scrambling to try to fill out cards at this
yeah,
point. You got Money in the Bank qualifiers that have been going on, and then just a lot of announcements for matches for Worlds Collide.
yeah, and that's the hard part, right? When you have something like Saturday night's main event and you have Worlds Collide, you have three big events that you're putting together.
Yeah.
The scramble is going to be there because how do you focus your attention on one and not the other, right? So you have to constantly be. So I think that's why we're feeling this kind of like rush, but like non-eventful kind of stuff going
Yeah.
down. I mean, they're trying really hard to push the storylines. Some notable moments here you had on Raw. Of course, Seth Rollins comes out to talk about outlining his vision because, of course, he's in the Money in the Bank men's match, and he's talking about how he's going to cash in again. Again, the last time he had the Money in the Bank briefcase, he cashed in at WrestleMania, the heist of the century, which I was actually one of my favorite
Yeah, it was
cash-ins because
fantastic at the time.
it was
Yeah.
perfect, like the way he just did it, and it's iconic. It's forever etched in my memory, him at the top of the ramp, just
Yeah,
shaking
saying
the
they're
belt
holding the
over his
title.
head, like, oh,
Yeah.
that was so awesome. Like that's just such a great moment, the pop that he got when his music hit, and then the fact that he hit Roman of all people, right, building that storyline. It was just perfect. So of course talked about how that's the goal for him, and that's where the vision's going to come in from. Of course, Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker behind him. How else can he fail? Paul Heyman with him. That's pretty much all that was. Went straight into the men's qualifier, a triple threat, which I enjoyed. Chad Gable, Dragon Lee, and Penta. Of course, Penta won. Hijo de Vikingo, obviously he interfered because he was ringside because the Worlds Collide. He's going to be
Yep.
involved in a match with Chad Gable. And is it Chad Gable or is he wrestling as Grande Americano? No, it's Chad Gable.
I think he's wrestling as Chad Gable in that
Yeah,
one
he's right.
because I think
Which I'm
he's feuded
shocked. I
twice,
thought for
right? Because he's
sure
wrestling as El Grande Americano also.
he is, right?
Like I
I'm double
thought I
checking
saw
right now.
some.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so it's
well,
Chad
I think he's got
Gable
two matches.
one on one with El Grande with Hijo de Vaquino. And then I'm looking at it right now. No, I'm shocked. Because you have
Is that
Ethan
right?
Page with Javon Evans, Ray Fenix,
Yeah.
and Laredo Kid, Stephanie Vaquer and Lola Vice against Dalis and Chic Tormenta, and then Legado de Fantasma versus Hijo the Dr. Wagner Jr., Pagano, and Psycho Clown. That match is going to be nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's okay. I thought he was wrestling as both. I missed an
Yeah, I thought he was
opportunity
wrestling.
there.
I thought I saw something where it announced, or maybe they'll announce something this week. But I thought he was wrestling as both. But we'll see.
Interesting. Okay, anywho, sorry, the sidetrack there. Squirrel.
But Penta's going to Money in the Bank, so that's
Penta
that's
won, so that was
that's
it
the
was a
thing.
great
He's going to
match.
advance. Yeah,
It was a good match.
that was probably my match of the night.
Yeah,
On a night that didn't have great matches, I would say
yeah,
that was probably the match of the night.
I agree. And of course, you had Chad Gable, who's amazing in the ring. He had to attack Hijo de Vikingo. He attacked him at ringside, which of course brings him out, and then
Yeah,
he, win and handle business. So again, just setting up their match more, pushing the storyline further.
yeah,
Penta advances. I'm excited for that because all the spots he's going to do on that ladder is going to be insane.
yeah.
I'm excited for
He's
that.
there. Penta's definitely not going to win Money in the Bank, but he
No,
he'll he'll
he's
be a
not.
good contributor. Him and
Yeah,
Andrade also qualified on SmackDown, so like
I'm
you
excited for
can tell
that.
they're both there to be cannon fodder for like some huge spot.
They're good. Yeah,
That's
I
really
can't
what it's
wait.
going to be, and
Can't wait.
it shall be glorious.
Yeah, we had Rusev destroy Tozawa
Yep.
in like a few minutes. Again, I get it, Tozawa standing up for Otis, but this was actually all a bigger setup for Sheamus to stare down his former, what were they called? League of Nations.
League
No,
of
yeah,
Nations.
League of
Yeah,
Nations member, Rusev. But him, Wade Barrett. Was it Wade Barrett? Yeah, it was
yeah. I
Wade
want to say it's
Barrett.
Wade Barrett also. Yeah.
hmm So yeah, that was cool to see. Sheamus comes out for the save because Rusev was just going to keep destroying Tozawa. Sheamus comes out,
Well,
they
and then
stare
Rusev
down.
just kind of walked away, like he
Yeah,
didn't
I
engage with
thought
him.
I thought maybe Sheamus was going to turn heel there for a second
Yeah,
because there was a hesitation. Like they're looking at each other, and I was like, "Oh, what's going to happen? Is he going to hit Tozawa? No." And no, he didn't. Of course, Sheamus super
yeah,
face right now, so stared down Rusev. Rusev walked away. That's going to be a great match. Rusev and Sheamus, whenever they make that happen, that's going to be
Yeah,
something to
that one
look
should be
forward to.
solid. And then after that we had what was
Tag
it?
team match
Tag team.
between New
Yeah,
Day, Creed Brothers, and War
that's
Raiders,
right. The
triple
War
threat tag team,
Raiders.
which turned into
Good.
like a 2-on-1 thing
Yeah,
because they,
this was a good match too. This was a fun one. I know I said there wasn't a lot of great wrestling on the Monday night, but this one was a good match too.
yeah, I enjoyed this one as well. New Day came out and they just teamed up. They like teamed up with, was it Creed Brothers, just to get them, just to turn on them eventually, right? Doing the typical double cross, but we all saw it coming. A lot of great moments in there. I thought that was a fun match to watch. Again, still paying homage to the Giant Gonzalez with their ring gear, which I thought was pretty
Yeah,
cool
that was
too.
cool.
Sometimes so. But I wanted to point out there was a clip that started circling around social media. I guess there was a child, what's it called? There's a child there that was trying to get a high five from Xavier Woods, and he just kind of like walked, like shook it, brushed it off, or whatever. People are like, "Oh, how could?" I'm like, "Okay, guys, look. First of all,
he's a heel.
Let's share a little insight here for those that maybe don't pay attention and don't know. If you're a heel, you're a bad guy.
Yeah.
If you're a bad guy, you do not high five the crowd.
Yeah,
You do not shake hands with the crowd. You do not take pictures with the crowd. Even if you want to take it a step further, if you're a heel, you don't take pictures or sign autographs in public either because you're the bad guy. They're supposed to not like you. You're supposed to not like the fans. So when a heel does heel things,
like, why are you shocked by that?
Yeah,
like because I saw that too, and I was like, "What's the problem?" Like he's like, and these two are like mega heels at this.
Yeah,
point. They're like
they're
betrayed Big E.
Yes,
they're the worst of the worst, and we're expecting him to high five like a kid on his way out to the ring. It's like, seriously, guys.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I'm sure if at any point there was a dark match or something where cameras are off, I'm sure Xavier Woods would have given her a hug and something. You know, I know he would have because he's a great human being. Yeah. But it's just,
he's in character.
I mean, he's at his job. Like, let's give him a break. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
After that, we had Jey Uso promising to tap out Gunther again. Of course, they backed him. So nothing else really outside of that. So
which I'm glad they did acknowledge the fact that Gunther had called out the winner of Logan Paul versus Jey Uso.
Yeah, because he was already moving on, but Gunther reminded him. Yeah, I agree. I love that. I'm glad they did do that. But then after that, you had what actually is now one of my new favorite, not new favorite, but one of my favorite storylines going on right now is the whole Roxanne infiltrating the Judgment Day thanks to Finn Balor and trying to woo Dominic Mysterio, which that's funny. I was telling my wife, I'm like, how is it this guy like in storyline?
And a storyline, he's like the ultimate player. Like everyone's going after him. I'm like, how is it that he has like basically all the most beautiful women on the roster are like throwing themselves at Dominic, which is a good storyline for him.
And they're giving him chicken nuggets. Like, what the hell?
Well, it's also the least believable thing. I'm like, really? Everybody's going after Dom, but okay.
But it's funny because Carlito had a really good line when Liv Morgan first came back when she was getting the nuggets. He looks at him and he's like, "You gotta stop trying to eat her chicken nuggets, bro." And I'm like, "Or you gotta stop trying to eat her nuggets, man." I'm like, "Shut up, Carlito." But yeah, that was hilarious. I think that was interesting. I had seen someone say that they would like to see Dom kind of double cross both and go with Raquel and kind of redo a China Eddie Guerrero kind of thing. Yeah, that actually would be funny. It would be cool.
Funny. They haven't really set that up at all with Raquel, and
and
they did the Seeds of Dissension thing because you had Liv Morgan versus Kairi Sane, and then Roxanne came out to help, and she really was helping.
She did help her. She actually helped her.
She actually helped her, and then like for whatever reason,
Raquel took offense to that.
Took offense to it, and then created a distraction that cost him. Which I was like, none of that makes sense. Like, why would Raquel respond that way and cost the match? At which they kind of acknowledged backstage. Liv was like, "Hey, you're a veteran. You should have known better," and kind of blamed Raquel. Which I was like, yeah, like. Why, like, that whole thing seems silly, but it goes back to they're always doing this. There's dissension in the ranks with the Judgment.
Yeah, I think we just need to break it up already and not break them up, but like get Finn Balor out already and see where it goes from there, because I think that's what it's leading to. So we'll get into Finn here in a sec, but after that, we had a little war words here with Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch.
Yeah, I'm kind of done with that one too.
I feel like it's kind of getting old already because it's not the heel Becky that we like to see, the cocky, arrogant. You know, this is more of like a whiny, and I get it; it's intentional. I get it.
Mhm.
But I mean, I just want this to be over with. They're going to fight at Money in the Bank for the Intercontinental title again. And if
Again,
they
yeah.
lose, if Lyra loses, the worst of the worst stipulation, she has to raise Becky's hand. And
No,
I'm like,
right?
that
Which
is that really
I'm
what they're
guessing Becky's gonna beat her. I'm gonna assume that
thinking?
she
So
is
because the
because
Intercontinental
I mean, she
title's
already
kind of
lost
gone
to her
flat.
once. Yeah, she's already lost to her once. I don't see her getting beat by Lyra twice.
Yeah,
So I like and that they're not gonna have Becky not be holding a title like at
yeah.
this point. So
We'll see. We'll find out on Saturday. And then
yep,
after that, we had another men's qualifier with Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn, and Finn Balor. Like I said earlier, Seth Rollins obviously wins
yeah,
and he gets his thing. Nothing really there, but it was a fun match. I don't think anything crazy happened. Of course, you had Sami Zayn hitting springboard
yeah.
moonsaults, and
They did more of the Dom tried to help and
yeah.
inadvertently,
But this one was a little
accidentally
more
introduced.
intentional that he messed up. Like this
Yeah,
is a little more of an intentional mess up, which is kind of what I was saying. Like I wonder because he brought the chair right, and instead of just sliding it, I mean those things are light. You can, I mean the ring apron's pretty slick. You can slide it
of course you
across
could. Yeah,
pretty well to Finn directly, but instead he slides it to like the middle of the ring, and of course, Seth is able to see that and hits the stomp on the chair and gets the victory. So that kind of felt a little more intentional because they made note to say that Dom never hasn't been out to help in so long that now he has come out.
yeah,
But it's because he saw that what Finn did to live, so now he's trying to get him back. I think this
yeah,
is going to be the start finally of that breakup between Finn and the Judgment Day. So we'll
yeah.
see what happens.
Hopefully so. But yeah, Seth advanced, which now that kind of tells me Seth Rollins is winning Money in the Bank at this
Yeah.
point, which is a bummer because I was really pulling for LA Knight. And I
Mm.
feel like now what's logically going to happen is Seth Rollins is going to win. Seth Rollins does the cash in on Jay during and that way you kind of have the heel standing tall at the end, or you'll have Logan Paul cost Jay or do something which will allow for the cash in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really where I feel like it's going now. They're not gonna have Seth not be a world champion at this point. Jay's kind of felt his world championship title reigns has felt a little bit flat at this point. So it just feels like that's where they're going to me. And it telegraphed somewhat with the fact that they're doing this tag match with both world titles in it. Somebody's cashing in on somebody.
Someone's gonna get cashed. I was about to say, like the fact that you have both champions in a match, and depending on who wins, I feel like that's what's gonna kind of telegraph who's gonna be the one to get cashed in on. That's if it's a big if the
Big
Money
up.
in the Bank matches before this one, which
Yeah.
my guess is it'll probably go on first,
Yeah. I
just
think
to
it'll go,
set
yeah,
that
that'll
up.
probably be the first match of the night. And maybe the women's
If
Money in
the
the Bank will close it out or something. I don't know.
Yeah, now if the tag match is the first match of the night, then we're just all wrong.
Yeah, then we could all be wrong. It's entirely possible.
But who else got tricked was CM Punk tricking Seth Rollins here at the end. Of course, his music hits
Yeah.
and everyone's looking, at the front. He sends his lapdogs to the front. He sends Bronson Reed out to the gold ramp and meet him there, of course. And what does that mean? That means that the person's coming from the back. So he came out, hit Seth Rollins with the GTS and took off again. So just to tell there, furthering that feud. So
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe CM Punk costs Seth Rollins the Money in the Bank.
Yeah. Or is CM Punk going to try to qualify for Money in the Bank? Why wouldn't he? Because
I
there's
mean,
still
I
a
would
couple of
assume
spots
he'd
left.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 2 spots left because right now you have 4 and 4. So yeah, I think there's 2 spots left. We should be able to see.
And it wouldn't make sense like why you wouldn't have him in there, because you're not going to have Drew McIntyre's not going to be in there either at this point.
Neither is Damian Priest.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure who. Yeah, because Damian Priest like missed his opportunity because of the Drew McIntyre. That's his explanation on SmackDown is because he took that cage match, he missed his opportunity. I'm like, dude, they're still doing qualifiers. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Unless he's saying he hasn't been medically cleared because of his black eye or something. But
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We'll see who the last 2 qualifiers are. But for me now, it's clearly looking like it's going to be Seth Rollins at this point, with interference, I'm sure, from the Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
right
it'd be
now, as it
almost
stands right
impossible for
now,
them.
it
It would be
looks like
almost impossible for him not to win because
yeah.
it's a
I'm
no
about to say,
DQ.
looking at who's in the match right now, yeah.
Yeah, it's a no DQ, so he can have his cronies down there. Like
Yeah.
why wouldn't he? Like
I'm-
this should be pretty matter of fact.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, that's pretty much all that happened on Raw. Nothing, again, nothing spectacular, nothing crazy, but again, just decent show. Some good wrestling sprinkled in there for a good measure, and yeah, that was it. But
Yeah.
then SmackDown,
SmackDown felt it felt light on relevancy this week to me as well. Open with Bianca Belair because they were in Knoxville, it's her hometown, and then you got another long promo with Naomi and Bianca kind of barking at each other, and
a
tears
little
were shed.
breaking
And
and
I was just like,
entering
ah,
action going on. Apparently,
yeah,
Tennessee PD's a little loose. I mean, Knoxville PD's a little loose there on the
a
laws.
little bit loose. And you wouldn't think so with Kane as their mayor that would be the case, but
That's Knox County.
oh, Knox County. Well, no, because somebody had the Our American Chokeslam Your Mayor thing too. That's what it was like. So I guess
Huh.
I'm guessing
Now I'm gonna look
he
up
was
where
the mayor
Knox
there.
County is.
I was like Knox County, but
Anywho,
anyways, so Naomi interrupted, and then Jade came out, and then Nia came out coincidentally because they also had a Money in the Bank qualifier. Jade versus Naomi versus Nia, because they were just all happened to be out there. And then Naomi advanced of those three, which for me was she kind of picked the bones after Nia Jax did the damage to Jade, got the pin. But
I feel it's a little clever the way she did it. Honestly, I think
yeah,
I actually kind of like that. So Nia was stacking them both up together for the double annihilator, and she rolled out. But then the only time I'm okay with the roll up because it's believable, right?
yeah.
Naomi's not gonna put her finisher on Nia, so rolled her up, kind of threw her off, used her own leverage on her, and the way she had her stacked obviously made it very difficult for her to kick out. So I actually like that finish,
Yeah,
and
it was a
it
good
was good.
finish. I'm just like Naomi in the Money in the Bank match feels like she's cannon fodder. like you knew, and maybe it's better that not have Nia Jackson Jade in there,
Yeah,
so Naomi can be the one to kind of take a big bump or have something happen to her. But she will
yeah.
advance, so she's on that route. I still have Alexa Bliss for me is still the front runner for the
Mm.
women's Money in the Bank, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. And then you had R-Truth kind of calling out JC Mateo. They did have a match later that JC Mateo won. It is what it it just kind of was what it was. Not much to report there. Chelsea Green and the Secret Hervis. So Chelsea Green does have her nose broken. She was wearing the mask, which was kind of funny. And
I love how she did the little face thing.
yeah, they were holding up a little face card over her to cover, which it's like the comedy aspect is good. Hopefully, she recovers pretty quickly. She did look pretty busted up when she took the mask off.
Yeah.
And they had later on, is where Alba Fire had her match against Zelina Vega, which of course Zelina Vega won. I mean, it's just kind of checking the boxes of what
Yeah.
happened. The other big event that happened in between this, you had a kind of an awkward segment with Street Profits, Fraxium, Motor City Machine Guns, DIY, all kind of slowly coming out to talk trash to each other. And then the Wyatt Six just attacked everybody. It was
Well, because they
very
all kept
much
saying like we would have won, but the
we
Wyatt
would have
Six
won, but the
interfered.
Wyatt Six, yeah, don't mention the Wyatt Six name. I don't want any trouble from the Wyatt
It's like
Six.
Candyman. They said it 3 times and boom, lights hit.
And then the lights hit, and then the Wyatt Six came out and attacked everybody, and Uncle Howdy hit Sister Abigail, and that was just kind of that. Like it was like, okay, cool.
I'm
A
hoping we
little,
get some sort of promo on
yeah,
that to kind
like
of
something
explain
other
it.
than just them popping up and attacking the tag teams. Like let's kind of hear from the Wyatt Six and what their motivations are versus them just going
Or their intent, really.
yeah, versus yeah, it sounds like they're just like which again I go back to, why would they be motivated by going after the tag titles? That doesn't even really make sense to me unless like it doesn't really mesh with how they've established them as this kind of soulless monsters that were going after people who betrayed their family. I'd just like to hear more context or some more promo usage, which they were really great at doing with the Wyatt Six when they started. Now they've completely gotten away from it. But yeah,
I mean,
so
hopefully soon because I do love the Wyatt Six, and I just think that I know Bo was hurt for a while, so that's why they were off TV for a long time. And right now,
yeah,
I get it because there's so much going on in the title pictures, the world title pictures. Obviously, there's a lot going on in the main event roster. There's a lot of already storylines going on with the Intercontinental US title. There's already a lot going on, so tag team division
yeah,
just kind of makes sense. But
yeah,
again, it would just help to have some sort of promo, kind of explaining what the motive is behind the attacks.
yeah.
Obviously,
Have
because
some
yeah, like you
storytelling.
said, when they debuted, just like you said, when they debuted, it was because they were going against those who betrayed family because they're about their family. And again, I would like to just know. I'm
Yeah,
curious.
it's like I like my storytelling with my wrestling, so a little
Yeah,
storytelling would be nice. And then we also had Legado del Fantasma, or Los Garza of Legado del Fantasma, taking on Ray Phoenix and Javon Evans. That kind of felt thrown together, and then you realize that Ethan Page was like ringside, so this is all kind of teasing their match between Javon Evans and Ethan Page. That's coming up at Worlds Collide too, right? So when they're facing off. This one ended with Los Garza winning because Ethan Page interfered. So
which
checking
Ethan Page
boxes.
was great on
Yeah,
commentary.
He was
I
really, really
enjoyed
good.
him on commentary. Like, yes,
And
I've always liked Ethan Page.
Ethan Page
He's
is cool. I mean,
yeah.
and it's one of those things where when you get somebody out on special guest commentary, it can either be an absolute slog or it
Hmm.
can be good. There's not a lot of wrestlers that do it very well. He was good on commentary. It wasn't
Yeah.
overbearing. It felt natural.
Hmm.
Because I've seen ones where it was like super awkward, and I'm thinking of like Logan Paul when he was on commentary, and there's other wrestlers that have been commentary that are just terrible at. The Miz is pretty good at it.
The Miz is
Ethan
good at it.
Ethan Page is pretty good at it too.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to that match because you're gonna have the one at Worlds Collide because you're gonna have Ethan Page who's great, and then you're gonna have Rey Fenix, Javon Evans who's just showed out in that match. He looked great, and Laredo Kid. It's gonna be a spot fest for sure. So I'll probably definitely be watching that for that. So
Definitely. And then after this, we got Damian Priest basically just coming out to say, I'm going after the United States Championship and you, Jacob Fatu. And then he walked off. And Jacob walked out because coincidentally, his Money in the Bank qualifier was happening too. So it was
good
Jacob
timing.
Fatu. I know, perfect timing. Like they timed their call outs with the qualifiers like really well on SmackDown.
Efficiency.
Yeah, well, and it was funny. Like in the main event, you could tell there was an efficiency where they were running out of time because I think they ran like 2 minutes over.
Hmm.
But the qualifier, Jacob Fatu versus Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes. Surprisingly, Andrade advanced in this one. A little surprising to me. For me, it would have been nice to see Jacob Fatu in that match with all the things that he can do. And then Carmelo Hayes is building momentum. Andrade was great. He was great the year before in that ladder match as well. So I think he's there to kind of do a big spot. It feels like that again. This was my match of the night as far as total wrestling. I really enjoyed this one.
Same. I agree. I love this match. It was a lot of fun. I like that Miz trying to hold together the relationship he has with Carmelo Hayes by trying to interfere and just failing miserably at it. Of all people to try and stop, he tries to get Jacob Fatu.
Yeah.
He learned his lesson. But, at first I wanted Jacob to win, but I feel like that's part of the storyline for the Bloodline 2.0, right? Is that because you had Solo talking about how he's gonna get the world title, and Jacob, because Solo's always trying to like one up him now because Solo feels threatened, right? So he wants to be like just above him a little bit, and this is kind of helping to build that. But I feel like that'll eventually lead to a Solo and not Solo. I'm sorry, that'll lead to Jacob and Jeff Cobb. I'm not gonna call him JC Mateo.
JC Mateo.
That's gonna lead to them fighting eventually in a match, which I'm all for. That match will be brutal, but it'll be fun. But
it'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm happy with Andrade. This was my match of the night as well. This was really fun to watch. A lot of good spots, and I mean Andrade he's a phenomenal wrestler, great athlete.
He is.
He's going to do a great job.
Feels underutilized. Like they haven't done a lot with him, but I mean, he makes the most of his opportunities when he gets.
He does.
He's really, really solid.
I agree.
And then the main event was just
speaking of opportunities.
Speaking of opportunities, main event was just promos. Cody Rhodes coming down, doing a long come down. He actually cut a very passionate promo. I'm not super wild about Cody Rhodes promos usually, but he did really good here. He was very passionate. And then he announced, hey, Jey Uso's his tag team partners here. And then Jey came out, did a long entrance, and then you could tell they were running out of time. Like Cody even cut his music a little bit, and he looked at him and he's doing the whole, hey, we gotta wrap this up, because they were running out of time. And then they still had to do John Cena come out. John Cena had to do his walkout, and then John Cena had to run them both down and called them both John Cena wannabes, which was funny. And then he called out Logan Paul. And I will say this, and as I was watching the clock, I was like, they're going to run out of time here. And they did go over by like 2 minutes. But this promo from Logan Paul was one of his better promos. Okay. And this is where I will say, I typically hate his delivery. His delivery was usually he talks so slow and he says really dumb things when he does. This one, he actually talked like a normal person. And so that was the first thing where I was like, he actually has more speed to his cadence now. He's talking more naturally. So I don't know if John's been working with him on his promos a little bit, because this sounded a lot better. It was still him being obnoxious, but it definitely felt more natural and less forced. So as much as I hate to give out credit to Logan Paul, I got to call it like I see it. And this was miles better. This is by far his best promo. Not perfect and not the greatest thing ever, but significantly better. Hopefully John Cena is rubbing off on him. But this was all done to set up. They're facing each other next week in the tag match. They had their little dust up at the end where Cody and Jey stood tall. that was kind of by the book. It was good stuff though. Like for me, it was a nice kind of return promo for Cody to really kind of be able to talk out and
Mm-hmm.
speak his heart. And it came off really solid. It came off really good. There were a couple of times where I felt like maybe we were seeing heel Cody. It was one where he was talking about the when he lost the world title, or he lost the WWE championship, and he went back to his trailer and he had a little bit of the Tennessee cough syrup, and then his face starts like twitching, and he looked down and his face was like twitching a little bit, and then I was like,
Yeah.
we're getting something here. So maybe we might see heel Cody start to turn at some point, but I just saw little glimpses of just little odd things that he doesn't usually do. But this was solid, and it sets up their match for next week.
No, I agree. It was I mean, it's funny that it went over, but I mean, to me, it's fine because you're wanting to build for this match. It's a tag team match they just threw together last weekend, so I think this having the build for it. The good thing is one of those matches that kind of builds itself, so that makes it a little bit easier for them. So I'm curious. I think it's funny that John Cena's still coming out in the colorful merch. I was waiting for him to come out in just a black T-shirt that just says John Cena in white across the chest, like his entrance. Little video, but hey, it works.
Yeah, he's doing the full marketing campaign because every week it's a different colored shirt too. I think
he did orange today because of Tennessee Volunteers.
For the Tennessee Volunteers. So I'm like, he's doing all the multicolor. I will say this, and I think John Cena did an interview about this like recently about how his body's just kind of giving up on him and he can't really do it the way that he used to. Like he mentioned that. Yeah. And I noticed on his way down to the ring, he seemed to have a little bit of a hitch in his gait when he was walking. And I was like, did he hurt himself? Is he okay? Because as he was walking around the ring and he goes to get the microphone and then he comes back, he just had like a little bit of a hitch in his step. And he was already wearing like his knee pads and everything. Like he's just out there
it
for
could have been maybe a gym sesh gone wrong.
Yeah. But I was like, but I know you can tell like he doesn't move as well as he used to. And he looked like, even though he's been wrestling this really limited schedule, it looked like his body's not holding up great. And which is unfortunate. I mean, time catches up with everybody. He's put his body through a lot.
He has
as a competitor, and I think he's done a great job of keeping himself up and doing the weightlifting and all that, but just the wear and tear catches up. So I kind of noticed that when he was walking around. I was like, yeah, he just seems like he's hurting a little bit. Which is good. He'll have a tag match, and Logan Paul can do the heavy lifting in that one. It's like, again, don't like to give him credit, but Logan Paul is an excellent in-ring worker.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Great athlete. Is. Like he absolutely is. So he can do most of the heavy lifting in that one. So this will be a good one. I just wonder, kind of how long do they keep the heel thing going with John too? You assume he's going to do a turn back before he retires, but maybe not. Maybe not.
I mean, I assume he will just because it's John Cena, but I mean, I wouldn't be mad if I was wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with it. It's like, however he wants to close his career out, he's certainly earned it. I mean, he can make whatever choices he wants there. It would just seem kind of odd, like after the career that he's had, that's really been defined by him being a babyface, if he just did essentially the final year of it as a heel the whole time, and like a super heel, which they really committed to it. Like I don't think he can take back all the stuff that he said to the crowd and to the fans. Like it would be odd if he was like, "Hey, I'm just kidding about all that," and then it was fine. And I don't think they can really flip him into an anti-hero at this point. He's not going Stone Cold Steve Austin anti-hero. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But we'll take it one week at a time. We'll see how this all goes down next week. Again, feeling like we'll see some sort of cash in. But to your point, depends on the timing. Because if they open with that tag match, and they very well might, then that kind of blows up everything.
I agree. I mean, we'll see. Time will tell. We'll find out for sure come Saturday. So yeah, excited for that.
Excited for that as well. And that's what we got for this week, everybody. We'll see you next week with the recap for Money in the Bank 2025. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave us those comments if you agree, disagree, or just want to talk about wrestling. We're always here to have a conversation, and we appreciate the support as always. That's what we got this week. So till next time, I've been Michael D'Angelo. He's been Big D Daryl Ortiz. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you soon.